One of my favorite things in the world to do is watch Friends. I know it's been off for years and years. It's not even around, but I still find myself binge watching old episodes. And I was thinking about this today and thinking, it's the predictability of the friends in the circle, right? You have Chandler with his quirkiness, Monica with her type A of just everything has to be so neat and tidy and organized. It's Phoebe's ability to make you laugh at her silly songs. Ross always comes in with those smart comments, and Joey and him and his food, like it is just so hilarious. And of course, Rachel, she just brings everybody together, and it's just such this beautiful, cohesive team of people. And it's why I wanted to come on and share with you today that I have an opportunity for you to find your friends in the content creation space. So if you are thinking about creating your first or your next digital course, I don't want you to miss this opportunity because Amy Porterfield just opened the doors for registration for her Course Confident Bootcamp. And I'm actually offering a special bonus for anyone that registers for the Course Confident Bootcamp through my special link. So I want you to go to crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp to register. That's crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp. And what you're going to find when you get there is I have this special bonus private podcast series. It's called Money Mindset for Creators. So I want you to go register for Amy's Bootcamp, download the podcast, and immediately start listening to it, because what this training is set up to do is to help you get your mind right about monetizing your content, making money so that you can fuel your content creation dreams. So go to crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp to register for Course Confident. And I cannot wait for you to find your friends and find the people that will be there for you. Do you see what I did there? Yeah, nice little friends segue connection. Go to crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp. And I cannot wait to see you inside. Okay, let's get into today's episode. I love it when content has been out for a while and it comes back around. It has like this super long shelf life for the next generation of people to find it. And today I specifically want to answer some questions and talk about some things that I've recently gotten on a YouTube video that I put out about 2 years ago that is called What is a Content Creator? Now, what I love about this is it's kind of evolved. So this is like the newest version of what a content creator is, but also I feel like I would answer this question very differently 2 years ago as opposed to today, and the different perspective that I have on being a content creator, what it means to be a content creator, and what it looks like for me as a content creator now. So let's get right to it. Welcome to the Profit Podcast, where we teach you how to start, launch, and market your content with confidence. I'm your host, Crystal Profit, and I'm so excited that you're here. Thanks for hanging out with me today, because if you've been trying to figure out the world of content creation, this is the show that will help be your time-saving shortcut. So let's get right to it, shall we? Okay, so as I mentioned in the beginning, we are talking about what is a content creator. So there's a video right here that I want you to go watch if you haven't checked it out already. It's on my YouTube channel, and it will be linked in the show notes if you're listening to the podcast version. But I put this out. It is like roughly a 12-minute video on what a content creator is and what you can expect if you're creating content on a podcast, on a YouTube channel, you're writing blog posts, you're creating content on social media. And in 2024, the way that this looks different for me is things have evolved since I originally put this video out, because right after the year 2021, this was the craziest year of my content creator journey. Like if I were to map it out, I went from in 2018 creating consistent content every single week. then ramping it up a little bit, getting some more visibility in 2019 from these different partnerships and working with, businesses like Buzzsprout and starting to get a little bit of notoriety in Amy Porterfield's community, to 2020 being like the year that everyone decided they wanted to be a creator. And then in 2021, I was like, I'm going all in. I'm going to create all this content. So I was creating an insane amount of content. Like, let's just call it what it is. Like, I look back on that time and I am still asking, like, how did I do this? How did I create this much content? Because I was doing 3 YouTube videos a week, 2 podcast episodes, 5 episodes on my daily podcast. I was writing at least 1 newsletter a week, posting on Instagram every single day, posting in our Facebook group. Like, it was bananas. It was like 20 plus pieces of content. And my identity at that time was, the more you put out, the more opportunities you're going to have to attract new people to your email list or get people to look at your content. Your SEO is going to explode. Like, I had all of these reasons why I was creating that much content. And so this original video I created was right after that time. So I had kind of tapered down how much content I was creating, but I wasn't openly and honestly sharing how much it was insanity behind the scenes of everything that I was creating. So I wanted to really preface everything else that I say after this to, I know that was bonkers crazy in 2021. I would never recommend doing that today. I don't do that today. Like, I am at a bare minimum posting on Instagram maybe 3 to 4 times a week, like actually posting something in my feed. I'm on stories maybe every day, if not every other day. And I'm posting in my Facebook group maybe 5 to 6 times a month. And I only do 1 podcast episode, 1 YouTube video a week, and I don't even have my daily podcast anymore. So I really wanted to share all the behind the scenes, because if you've been around here for a while, you know I love behind the scenes, and I know that you love behind the scenes. But we had a specific question that came in for today's video. It was actually in the comments of this original video. So Jenny, thank you so much for your comment. I wanted to read it and then give you my direct advice, like how I see answering this question today. So Jenny says, "Hello, Crystal." Hello to you back. First of all, I never comment on videos at all, but this was so informative, I had to reach out. Question: how do I get over my fear of what I look or sound like to be able to create videos, podcast material? I run a flower farming business growing flowers from seeds in my backyard, which we make arrangements out of and sell at farmers market. I only use Instagram and know I need to branch out. Any advice is appreciated. So Jenny, again, thank you so much for your question. And this is so common. This is so common. So before I say anything else, I just want to acknowledge that you are not the only person that struggles with this. I've had so many conversations with people about the very first time I went live. It was on Periscope. This was before Facebook Live, which is how long I've been around and creating things. And it was terrifying. I remember I was shaking in my office. It's not in the house that I'm in. It's not in this office. We have previously moved. And I just remember being in that office and I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go live for the first time. My hand was shaking. I had my phone in my hand and it was just like going crazy. And it was so terrifying because I thought I was going to say something stupid. I thought I was going to look stupid. And I thought that if I press this magical button, the go live button, that all of a sudden millions of people would be there or thousands of people would be there. And if I was lucky, hundreds of people would be there. I don't think a single person saw that live video. I really don't. If somebody did, it was one of those like they hopped into it and then they're like, oh, wait, this is not what I was looking for. And they hopped out of it. That was my experience of creating for the first time. And at that point in time in my creator journey, I was mostly doing written things. I was trying to be a blogger. I was like, that was the path that I was going down. And I wasn't doing a ton of audio and video stuff. I had experimented with doing YouTube videos, but I did not know what I was doing. And I had no clue how to edit things or make transitions work other than like it wasn't great. If you want proof, go back to the YouTube channel and look at my very, very first videos. They were not great. They weren't good at all. But all of that to say is I got started somewhere. It's why it's the motto around here. Keep it up. We all have to start somewhere. So Jenny, my advice to you is, your question is, my fear of, or how do I get over my fear of what I sound like or look like to be able to create videos or podcast material? I always go back to what's in it for my audience, because when you take yourself out of it, you're not so worried about what I look like. Like, how's my hair? How is my face? How is my clothes? Like, what does my background look like? I really don't think about those things anymore as much as I'm thinking about, is this going to add value to my audience? Does my audience care about this? Or is this something that's going to be memorable and make an impact on them so that they take action, whatever that action is, after they're done with that piece of content? So as much as you can, remove yourself out of the content formula equation and really put your audience's focus on there. Now, this could look like a few different things. It could look like your messaging. It could look like the topics you want to cover. It could look like the, offerings that you want to have within your content, like whether it's educational material or it's examples or it is, all about your business. And because I'm so fortunate, Jenny, thank you so much for telling me a little bit about what you do, because we can actually get more specific to your particular case instead of it just being so generic. But I really just want to focus in on the important thing is it's not about you, it's about your audience. Because what I find so often is people will make their content about them and no one else cares. That's really what it comes down to. Like, I know it feels like the tough love, like the harsh thing that the coach has to say, but I have to say it. No one cares about what you're doing unless you make them care, unless there's a reason to care. And most people don't care, honestly, unless you have a celebrity status. That's really what it comes down to. There are podcasts that I listen to simply because it is someone getting interviewed that I'm like, I want to hear because they're a celebrity status. But if it was a no-name podcast, I wouldn't care about it. And the way that you make people care is you show them, oh no, I care about you as someone in the audience. I care about you. I am delivering exactly what you are looking for, and it is in this content. I want to tell you a quick story about something I stumbled upon recently. So I was looking for something else on YouTube, and my algorithm threw something at me that I was not prepared for, how much I was going to love it. So this is going to be ridiculous, but bear with me. It was the Vanity Fair. They have this whole segment that's called Actors on Actors. Maybe you knew about this. I'm late to the game. I didn't know that this existed, but there were incredible interviews with like Anne Hathaway and Emily Blunt, and they're talking about their acting careers, and I was infatuated with this whole thing. It was Katherine Heigl and Ellen Pompeo. I've been a Grey's Anatomy fan since the very beginning of the show starting, so I became obsessed with it. There was a Bradley Cooper and Emma Stone one that I started watching. I saw that there were like dozens of others. Like, I was like, where has this been? I love these type of interviews. Give me more. I want more. But that's an example of I stumbled across this content, but because it was created for me, right? I'm the audience. I was so excited about it. I didn't care where it came from. I honestly didn't even know it was Vanity Fair outside of it had the logo up there. I didn't care. I just wanted to listen to that interview. I cared about the content. I cared about the topic. I wanted to hear the message from those people. And that is what your audience will care about. So people spend so much time trying to make themselves look bigger than they are, or try to have, this persona that they really don't have. And then that feels awkward because they're like, this isn't really me, or this isn't my style. My advice to you is focus on what you know best. And if you really know the customer, the audience, the person that you are trying to reach, That's what you focus on. What do they want to hear? So Jenny, I want to go back to your specific one. You say, I run a flower farming business growing flowers from seeds in my backyard. So let me stop there. Who are you targeting, right? Are you targeting people that want to buy those seeds? Are you targeting other people that want to run a flower farming business from their backyard? Like that would be the first thing that would be my piece of advice. We're in a coaching session now. And if I were giving you a full session on what you should do with your content, whether it's videos or a podcast, it would be getting very clear on who are you trying to reach? Are you trying to reach a version of yourself from, let's say, 5 years ago when you were sitting somewhere dreaming about having flowers in your backyard that you could walk out and snip every day and take them into your kitchen and put them in a beautiful vase and have them decorated around your home? Like, well, who is that person? Is that who you're talking to? A previous version of yourself? Or maybe you have aspirational thoughts of creating digital products or other things that you can sell to this audience one day. Well, you need to set up your content that way, because if you are just telling your own story over and over and over again, someone that's listening, now all of a sudden you're selling things to them. They're like, hang on, like that's not really why I came here. And there can be kind of like this bait and switch thing that happens if you start your content one way and then you just fully switch it on your audience. They get really confused and some people leave and never come back. It's this whole weird thing that happens. So I would get very, very clear on who are you wanting to listen to this content. And if you are like, well, Crystal, I'm not sure. I think it's going to be this person, but it's also a mixture of that person. That's okay. But you just need to have a starting point. So the great example is the Profit Podcast, my show. I started talking to beginners. I was just talking to people that wanted to start a podcast. They're trying to figure out like, what is the title of my show? What am I going to talk about? What equipment do I use? How do I edit this thing? And how do I get it out there into the world? Right? Those are the main things that they wanted me to cover. So for the first year or so of me putting out any type of content, it was only about the beginner podcaster and the challenges that they faced. But as my content continued, like I put more stuff out there and people would reach out and ask questions and students would come to me and say, hey, Crystal, I ran into this issue, or you haven't talked about this before. Like I'm not a beginner per se, but I've been in your audience for a while and you've never covered this. Can you talk about podcast ads and getting sponsorships? Can you talk about speaking on stage and what that looks like to get speaking opportunities from your content? There were just these things that happen naturally that now I talk about this way wider spectrum of all the content from this little bitty thing from helping beginner podcasters to now, I mean, it's content strategy. It's so many other things. So you just need to get started with the place where you feel most comfortable. So maybe you have a confidence in you on certain topics. That's where you need to get started. You don't need to try to tackle these things because people will come to me and say, well, I'm not an expert in this, so I don't feel comfortable talking about it. Well, then don't talk about it from an expert's point of view. You don't have to be an expert in everything to talk about it in your content. I've covered so many things in my content that I will rightfully say, I am not the expert on this topic, but I will share what I'm curious about, what I'm thinking about, or I will just share, this is what I'm trying. So if you want to reach an audience of people that are just curious about maybe what you're doing or how you've gotten started, start with your FAQs, right? Your frequently asked questions. This is a great place to start. And actually, I have a fantastic digital product that you can go check out. It's called 1 Year of Content in 1 Hour. And in this, it's a $27 product. It is one of the cheapest things that I offer, and it will help you so much in just really guiding along like, well, what should I talk about? It has so many ideas for what you could do, and the FAQs are one of the default things that I tell people to do. It's like if someone wanted to get started doing what you do today, what are the questions that they would ask? what are the questions that you asked when you first got started? So what this looks like for my content is
being a woman in business comes with its own unique set of challenges, but also so many opportunities. We get ahead by leaning in to what makes us different from business as usual. I'm Samantha Hartley, host of Profitable Joyful Consulting, inviting you to a special 6-episode series exploring the experience of being a woman in business. You want to hear from women consultants who've hit $1 million, who sell 6-figure engagements, or who've broken their own revenue ceilings? Yeah, those are my clients, and they'll be sharing too. Join me for 6 must-listen episodes that tackle key challenges for women consultants. Follow Profitable Joyful Consulting on your favorite podcast app.
what is a podcast host? What recording equipment do I need? How do I decide on the topic that I'm going to choose? How do I know, if this is the right person to interview? How do I script a podcast episode? These are all of the questions that a beginner podcaster would ask. So that is where I started. I literally started with how to start, launch, and market a podcast. Those are some of my very few first episodes after I rebranded my show. And I just got started from there. And from there, this happens all the time. I have so many profit podcasting students. So shout out to everyone in the digital course community because they have said, oh yeah, that 100% happens. You will have ideas and there's a challenge within my program. I will say, okay, I want you to think of your first 20 episodes. And then from there, they will say, oh, I know you told me to just do 20. I came up with 57. Or I planned these episodes and it was like a dam had broken. And then all of a sudden I had a flood of ideas and I could not stop them. I was so excited about this. And then that spiraled into that. And then I thought about, I could interview this person and that person and this person. So there will be so many creative things that happen once you go down the journey of just getting started. I know it sounds cliche. It may sound even a little silly, but it is absolutely true. Once you start planning, once you get in the mindset of this is what I want to do, so many magical things happen. And I think it has to do with just making a decision. I have had, and at first I didn't understand this was a profound compliment, but I've had many people tell me over the years, Crystal, you are just very decisive. And maybe it comes from being a mom of 3 boys and just having to make a decision when a toddler does not want to make a decision, or maybe it has to do with just, I don't know, maybe it's a personality trait. I'm not sure, but I'm very decisive. So whenever I do make a decision, it's okay, this is the journey that we're going on. It could be a good decision. It could be a bad decision. I could be making 70,000 mistakes along the way, but getting into action will help you so much gain that clarity that you are looking for. So just making a decision. So Jenny, back to your original question, make a decision on who are you speaking to? Who is this audience that's going to be listening to this content or watching this content? Whatever type of content that you end up creating, who is that person? Because then you can make other decisions on the topics you want to cover, how you want to approach it, and maybe even how often you want to put content out. Because like I said earlier, all of this question and everything today originated from a video called What is a Content Creator? And one of the things that you have to decide, you listening and Jenny, is what type of creator do you want to be? Because I don't subscribe to you have to create 20 plus pieces of content every single week. I've done that. Let me tell you, I can tell you all the reasons why that is not sustainable. It was not sustainable for me. I did it for a short period of time. Would I do it again? No, I really wouldn't. Even if I had a whole production team and so many people supporting me to do every single, all the editing, every single piece. No, I would not do that because it was so much. It was way too much for me personally. So again, this goes back to the type of creator I want to be. I want to be the type of creator that turns off my computer and has dinner with my family. I don't want to be the type of creator that's working on Saturdays and Sundays. I don't want to be the type of creator that has to log in when I'm on vacation and, do 50 things when I should be spending time with my friends and family. So go back to, what type of creator do you want to be? I want you to answer that question and think about, all the consistency and all the different things that you want to commit to as a creator, and know you can always change it in the future. I love to live by the rule is there are no rules, right? There are only guidelines that I will share with you about being a creator. There's never going to be you have to do this in order to be a successful creator, because I don't think that works, because it's always changing. Like I said, I recorded the original content 2 years ago. I'm a different person today. I'm a totally different creator today than I was 2 years ago. So I don't live by, it can only be my way or the highway, or it's only one way and it's going to be like that forever. It's just not true. It's not true in the creator space, which is what I love about doing this work and what I love about helping you with your content. So Jenny, once again, I want to give you a huge shout out for asking this question and being brave enough to put it out there. I think when, it comes down to you getting over your fear, is make sure that you're making it about the audience, because it's not about you, right? Even this content today, it's not about me. Sure, I've shared stories, I've shared my own experience, but I've only done that to share it with you. This was made for you, dear listener, and Jenny. This was created for my audience, and I really encourage you to put your audience at the center of everything that you do, because they will feel that. I can tell when someone has created something. Vanity Fair, this is your shout out, right? This is my shout out to you. I can tell you made the Actors on Actors segment for people like me that want to hear these candid conversations and these candid interviews. And I am so grateful to you, because they made my heart so happy whenever I stumbled upon them. So make it about your audience. Don't make it about you. And just get out there and start creating. That's really the other big message, is make it about your audience, get out there and start creating. You will figure out so many of these other questions, because I know you probably still have a million questions about, should I do this and should I do that? Do I need solo content? Do I need interviews? Do I need to have a fancy background? Do I need to have this? All of those will work themselves out, but you just have to get in motion. Make a decision to really put your content out there. And one final thought for everybody that's thinking about launching a podcast or a YouTube channel, I love a deadline. I know those are scary. It makes things scary. That's what they're there for. So if you are trying to light a fire underneath yourself and you need some accountability, write out a deadline for when you're going to launch your podcast, your YouTube channel, your blog, your newsletter, whatever it is. Even if it's a superficial deadline, put it out there. It's the only way that you will actually get this thing launched and put it out into the world. So create a deadline and hold yourself accountable, and come back here, because if you need some motivation and some accountability, it's what I'm here for. But that's all I have for you today. So again, Jenny, thank you so much for asking this question. If you have questions and you're watching on the YouTube channel, put them in the comments. I want to hear from you. And if you're listening on the podcast, go over to the YouTube channel and leave a comment, because I want to hear from you. I love answering these questions. I love hearing from this community, and I love it whenever we can tie some of these theoretical things back to real people, because it really grounds the message in exactly what you can do to make your content stand out. But that's all I have for you today. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and follow the follow button wherever you are listening. And as always, remember, keep it up. We all have to start somewhere. Hey, Profit Podcast listeners. Thanks for sticking around to a little bit after the episode to hear this special message, because I want to hear from you. We are starting a new segment called fan mail shout outs, and I want to hear from you, and I want to hear your questions. What do you want to know? What questions have you been dying to ask me? So here's how to make this happen. Go to the app where you're listening to this podcast right now. Go there. I'll wait a second. Okay. Now, once you're there, you're going to see a hyperlink at the top of the episode description that says, send Crystal a text message. And that's all I want you to do. Send me a text. It could be casual, informal. It could be totally anonymous. Or if you want, you can include your name and the name of your podcast or content wherever you are creating, and I will give you a special shout out in an upcoming episode. So again, go to the show notes for where you're listening to this episode right now, and it will say, send Crystal a text message. And I cannot wait to hear from you and give you a shout out in an upcoming segment of Fan Mail Shout Outs.